My friends at Easy Cater are workplace catering pros, helping you find food for everything from daily employee meals to staff meetings and special events. Visit easycater.com/leaderassistant to find out more.
Hi, I'm Tessa Young, and today's leadership quote comes from John C. Maxwell. People do not care how much you know until they know how much you care.
The Leader Assistant podcast exists to encourage and challenge assistants to become confident, game-changing leader assistants.
If you need to impress the board or your company's clients, your favorite vendors, maybe the leadership team, maybe your admin team, maybe your families or your colleagues' families. If you need to impress them this holiday season with a carefully and craftily packaged wine and handwritten note gift pack, check out Elkhorn Peak Cellars. They're a family-owned vineyard and winery on the south end of the Napa Valley. This dynamic father-daughter duo of Ken and Elise and their team can accommodate large or small orders for all of your holiday gifting needs this season. So visit elkhornpeak.com/leaderassistant ASAP to get your holiday wine packages ordered in time for the holidays. Now, an important note, for gift pack arrival before Christmas, orders must be received no later than December 11th if you're on the East Coast, and they can't be received later than December 18th if you're on the West Coast. So December 11th is your deadline to get things in before Christmas if you're on the East Coast, and if you're on the West Coast, December 18th is your deadline. Oh, and did I mention they sent me some wine a while back, and it was very, very delicious. Definitely check out Elkhorn Peak Cellars at elkhornpeak.com/leaderassistant now to order a carefully packaged wine plus handwritten note gift pack from Elkhorn Peak. Hey friends, thanks for tuning in to the Leader Assistant podcast. It's your host, Jeremy Burrows, and today I'm speaking with Tessa Young, who is Executive Assistant to the Operations Leader and the Executive Pastor of Ministries at Southeast Christian Church. And Tessa, you are in Kentucky, is that right?
Yes, Louisville, Kentucky.
Louisville, Kentucky, nice. So tell us a little bit about, we'll jump right in, and why don't you tell us about your first job?
My very, very first job, I worked at an assisted living place, and I was a server in their dining area. So
Nice.
just basically served them dinner. It was great.
So is there anything in that role that you have applied to your current executive assistant role?
I would say a little bit of organization, project management, having a few tables and taking in a lot of orders.
Nice. Yeah, I'd say it's very similar. And then how did you end up being an assistant?
I actually, when I graduated college, I applied to my home church of Southeast. I grew up at Southeast, and I applied to work in the Shine ministry, which is our special needs ministry, as their administrative assistant. And that's kind of how it all got started. I'm still there a few jobs later.
Wow. So how long have you been there?
It'll be 7 years in March. An awesome 7 years.
Awesome. And had you known other assistants, or did you even know what an executive assistant was when you kind of jumped into that?
Well, my mom also works there, and she is an executive assistant. So
Okay.
I did have a little background, and now I do work on the same team as my mom, which is really fun. So that's really my only pointers came from her.
Nice. So what's it like working on the same team as your mom?
I do call her by her first name, and so that kind of throws people off sometimes if they know us or don't know us. But it's great. I feel like I go to her more comfortably than anyone else for questions, and I feel like we're pretty honest with each other when we're dealing with a problem.
So speaking of problems, what's one of the mistakes? What are some mistakes that you might have made, and how did you handle them after the fact?
My within my first month of working with the Shine Special Needs Ministry, I sent out this big email to all of the volunteers. I mean, hundreds of people were on this email. And I was like, hey, we're going to have an event. Come serve, da, da, da. And I completely forgot to put the date of the event. And I just got all this feedback email of like, well, I would serve if I knew when the date was, da, 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 da. And it was my first big thing where I'm like, okay, I need to really proofread what I write. And it was a big learning thing right at the very, very beginning.
So how did that, like, did your executive say something about it? Or was it just kind of like, oh, sorry about that, everybody? You know what I'm saying? Like, because sometimes assistants make mistakes and then they have that awkward conversation with their boss afterwards.
I feel like I immediately told her, and then my face went red, and I was just like, wow, that was really embarrassing. That will literally never happen again. And I can't really say that it has in any of my emails. I'm like, date, time, location, da, da, da. So she had a lot of grace with me.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. So I worked in a nonprofit church for, like 12 years. I was an assistant for 9 of those years. A lot of people that I talk with that are looking for new roles or career shifts are either currently work in a non-for-profit, and then they want to move to potentially a for-profit or a different industry. And then some people are like, oh, hey, I work for a for-profit, but I'm tired of everything being about the money, and I want to work for something that has, a mission or something that I can really get behind and believe in. Is there anything that you'd like to share with those listening who are considering making that jump from the for-profit world to the not-for-profit?
I just feel like you need to listen to your calling if it's the place for you to be. It is a big jump. I feel like when you're, at least for me, in a church, people just get so passionate about their ministries and what they have going on. And, it's exciting and awesome. And then, sometimes it's super discouraging, if your budget doesn't get approved for something, or, something just doesn't work out. But it's also, you get to see great fruit of it. For us, you get to see people come to Christ, or, you get to see people witness to their families and their friends. I definitely think too, that if you follow, the Lord's calling to work at a church or wherever, it's important to not let it change your family dynamic too much. You don't want to start any resentment that you're always at work, you're always at church. So I would definitely encourage those, to keep serving and having the same family dynamic that you did before, and not get, just work on the work-life balance of it. Because it can just, especially with ministry, it never ends. It truly never ends.
Yeah, I was going to say, when I was in it, I'm a preacher's kid, and I was working in, a church as a pastor's assistant, and it was busy. We had services all weekend. And so to be honest, I never really took days off, and I never was good about boundaries, and I worked too much. I burned out. My pastor executive burned out. He ended up getting fired. It was just a whole unhealthy situation, but I didn't really acknowledge that or wasn't aware of that until I was outside of the situation. So how have you tried to balance that self-care and, when your job and your organization has a mission to help others, it can be very easy. I know from firsthand experience, it can be very easy to just disregard your own needs and disregard your self-care. And so how have you tried to combat that and not, let yourself miss out on, health and wellness?
Well, one great benefit that our staff has are 2 desert days a year. So they're basically days to get away and refresh your soul, just for us, just like Jesus did. He got away and really just got back with the Father and everything. And so our staff, we have 2 days of that a year you can take anytime. And those are really great just to put on the calendar. I mean, even for everyone else, just a personal day, put it on the calendar, block it off. And then when that comes up on your calendar, you're like, wow, this is really needed. Like, I do need a day off. I do need to refresh. And besides that, just especially for assistants, I feel like we always just feel the responsibility of our leaders. And so just to really turn off, the stuff at night when you go home. I mean, I have 2 young kids, like it's almost impossible for me to look at my stuff when I'm at home. But even, before you go to bed and everything, and just really having, good family time and trying to just be intentional about other parts of your life. Having good hobbies is also really good, whether it's, your podcast thing is great or, reading, something like that.
Yeah. What's one of your favorite hobbies?
I like reading. I don't do it as much as I want because usually I fall asleep. But we definitely go on walks a lot. We try to hang outside. So
nice.
We watch a lot of Impractical Jokers.
All right. So you also lead a team or a development program for a team of about 25 to 30 assistants. Is that right?
Yes. I just started doing this recently, and it's been a huge blessing.
So what can you share about what you've done with the team, or maybe tips for others who are leading a team or want to lead a team of assistants at their job?
Well, it started out when one of my leaders just asked his team about just what our slack is. Basically, just the stuff that gets in the way of, our work day. And so he was like, go ask your team, your teams what this is, come back with feedback. And then me, like my team is him basically. And so I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to go ask all the admins and just do different kind of studies with them. And, come to find out, I have just at Southeast, we have basically a huge group of admins that relate more to like team admins. And then we have a smaller group that are more people admins. And so from there, I just kind of was like, okay, what do we need to just eliminate all this stuff that, is holding us back from really just greater potential and greater productivity. So, we kind of just did a deep dive on our processes. And I then, since part of my role is helping the ops team, I talked to, them about, the big questions they got, just continuously, how we were holding them back from different things. And we had some great responses. And then from there, I was like, okay, let's get some development stuff together. Let's just figure out what we can study, what we can do. So this last year in January, we had a leadership training. Basically, someone talked to us about just leading in all different directions, which was great. For our roles. And then we had a more technology. We have a database system, and we have Teams and OneDrive and all that. So our IT team came in, and they just helped us with a ton of stuff. And then we also just do other social gatherings, which is great for us just to get together and just chill. I feel like we need that. I don't want them to just have to think about deep diving every time we're together on a subject. But one of the great things that's come out of all of that are our encouragement groups. So we have about 30 admins, and we have 4 main EAs, and we divided all of our admins into 4 different groups. And once you, come on staff, we just add you into one of our groups. But these aren't leader groups, and they're not mentor groups. It's purely a group for the admins to make the whole community feel smaller. It's been successful. I mean, we have a huge teams group, and then we have different channels of smaller groups. So we just check in on each other, say, hey, what's going on at your campus? How can I pray for you? Or we one-on-one try to meet with our each of our people. It's just been a good kind of connector piece to just make it, smaller, intentional, and really like hit the big questions. Our big teams group is great. We spotlight our admins. We share like, a legal information update or a database update, or people ask, catering questions like who's used this person recently. That's probably one of our most successful things in this last year, our encouragement groups.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, it's great to have other assistants that you can relate to and that you can help each other out and support each other. I'm the only assistant at my company right now, and there's a lot of assistants listening who are the only assistant at their organization, and that's why I encourage them to connect online on LinkedIn, reach out to other assistants, join the Leader Assistant online community. But is there something you would recommend to someone who is at an organization and they're the only assistant? And like you were saying, when you first started talking about all that, was you were like, oh, I don't have a team.
Yeah.
So those that don't have a team, and maybe they're in a smaller org or there's no assistants around. Any tips for them?
Well, through all this, I just searched for anything like that. And I mean, I've been a part of now, just different newsletters, getting those into my my inbox to read, and then also just a lot of Facebook groups. I know you have one, and there's a bunch online, but I think those have been great. I've learned a lot. If somebody says something, I'm like, ooh, that was a good answer. Like that is super relatable to a situation I've had. So those kind of things have been really helpful for me. And I mean, even maybe search on Facebook if you have a local admin group in your area. We just started one in this area. It's really small, but it's
you gotta start somewhere.
Yeah, I know.
Awesome. So I had somebody reach out to me the other day who said, "Hey, I'm shifting careers. I was in hospitality, and now I am jumping into an executive assistant role. Where do I start? Where do I start? Like, what do you recommend?" So what would you recommend to a new assistant just starting out in their career?
I would almost go through what you think your week and your day would look like and sit down with your executive and just ask how they want everything. We have a good paper. One of our staff development guys made it. It's just like the best of me. It has a bunch of questions on like how you want feedback, how they want feedback, how you want to communicate, all those kind of things. I think that's super important. Just start out well with your leader. Partnership with them is super important. Transparency comes with time and trust comes with time, but just trying to figure those things out, how they want things. I think that'll help you quickly. And I mean, you have to grow with them. And if they're even maybe new in their spot, they're learning as well. Yeah.
Love it. Good advice. Well, Tessa, thanks so much for sharing today a little bit about how you lead a team and a little bit of your story. To kind of wrap things up, what would you say makes an assistant a leader?
I think that our main job is to move things forward. So if we are leading, I loved your email that you sent the other day of in our areas of influence, because it's so true. Someone did ask me the other day, like, what do you do? I was at a conference. I'm like, well, if you have an assistant, but I was like, I just help things go forward.
Well, Tessa, thanks so much for sharing your story and being on the show. Is there any way that people can reach out and connect with you if they want to reach out and network?
Yes, I'm on Instagram, Tessa C. Young, and I'm on LinkedIn at Tessa Young 7916. I also did want to say to church admins, don't ever forget you're doing ministry. Even if it's ordering a lunch, scheduling a meeting, you're always doing it for the greater good.
Awesome. Thanks, Tessa. I really appreciate you being on the show, and we'll put the links to your Instagram and LinkedIn in the show notes. And good luck to you, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks again for listening. Check out the show notes at leaderassistant.com/140. That's leaderassistant.com/140. And don't forget to check out our sponsor for this episode, Elkhorn Peak Sellers. elkhornpeak.com/leaderassistant.
Please review on Apple Podcasts. GoBulls.com.